Okay, let's get started with 18.4. Now we're going to solve for sides using the angle, finding sides and angles. We need to remember what we've learned previously, the Pythagorean theorem, maybe some special rights, right, or and how to set up those ratios from the angle, okay? So here's where the calculator comes in useful. The calculator with the sine, the cosine, and tangent functions. It doesn't have to be the graphing calculator, just a regular sine, cosine, or tangent. And make sure you're in degree mode, because our angle's in degrees. So if you go to degree or go to mode, okay, make sure that you are not in radians, but over in degrees, hit enter, and then you're good, okay? All right. So, first example, finding the side lengths. If you have an angle in your triangle, so that's where you're starting. This would be like the theta. So, from that angle, what do you have? Well, you have the side that is opposite that angle, and you have the side also that is adjacent to that angle. You do not have the hypotenuse. So, from this angle, I have opposite and adjacent. Well, what trig function from last 18.3, what trig function has a relationship of opposite and adjacent? Well, we know that is tangent. So we say tangent, the angle is 48, so that's what goes there, equals the side opposite over adjacent. And we could make this a fraction over 1 if you'd like. Okay? Now to solve, this is a proportion. So now we solve. We multiply diagonally. So tangent of 48 times 17 equals x times 1. So we'll say x times 1 is x. Then on my calculator, I'm going to do tangent. So I go to tangent. I don't know if you can see mine, but tangent. I'm in degree mode, 48. Okay, then I'm going to hit enter. And then times, and what is it, 17? And I get 18.88. Okay? So it's just multiplying diagonally, tangent 48 times 17. So try that on your calculator, make sure you get the same. All right, over here. Here's my angle. This 67-degree angle right here. So from this angle, I have, this is opposite, and then this would be hypotenuse from this angle. My relationship of opposite and hypotenuse is the sine function. So I'm going to write sine, my angle is 67, equals the side opposite over the hypotenuse, which is 29. So now I do the same thing, cross multiply. X times 1 is x. And now I need to do the sine of 67 times 29. So I do that on my calculator. Sine 67, enter, times 29, enter. Answer, 26.694 would be rounded to 5. So we'll say 26.7. Okay, example 3. Let's see, from this angle, we have the hypotenuse, and we have the side adjacent. So my relationship of adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. So cosine angle 37 equals the side adjacent, 48, over the hypotenuse, x. So now this one sets up just a little differently, because when I cross multiply, it's not just going to be x times 1. It's cosine of 37 times x. So I'm going to go x times the cosine of 37 equals 48 times 1, which is 48. So with this, to solve for x, we can divide off that whole quantity of cosine of 37, because that's just a number, cosine of 37. So on my calculator, we're going to do 48 divided by the cosine of 37. So we go 48 divided by, and I'm going to use parentheses, so it does that whole thing in the denominator as one number. Cosine of 37, so around the 37 and around the cosine of 37. So 18 divided by the cosine of 37. Or sorry, not 18, 48. Okay, now if I hit enter, 60.1, we'll say. 60.1. Okay, make sure you're using your calculator and getting the same answer as I am. So find D to C. So I want to find from D to C right here. All right, let's see. I have a triangle over here. I could find this side right here. I probably need this side. So if I had this side, B to D, then I could solve for this side right here. So to find a B to D, I'm going to have you use the triangle to the left here. So I'll make this X, and initially use this triangle here on the left to solve for that. So I have a 54-degree angle. And so maybe it's as clear. So let's see. From the 54-degree angle, I have side opposite, which is X, and a hypotenuse 20. So that is opposite hypotenuse, that's sine. So sine 54 equals X over 20. So this looks like it sets up like the previous example where we have to divide. Okay, so if I cross multiply, oh no, never mind. It doesn't, I just cross multiply. All right, so X times 1 is X, sine of 54 times 20. So do that on your calculator, sine of 54 and then times 20. So let's see, sine of 54, enter, times 20, enter, 16.18. So I'm getting this to be 16.18. Okay, so now I have this side 16.18, so it's no longer a variable. Now I need to find this side DC. So I'm looking at this other right triangle now. So from the 28-degree angle, so I want to have a new set of stuff here. This is opposite, this is adjacent. So that's tangent. So if I say tangent 28, that's going to equal side opposite, 16.18, over, we'll say y to have a different variable. Okay, so this one sets up to where we have to divide. So I have tangent 28 times y. It's going to equal 16.18. So divide by the tangent of 28. So 16.18 on my calculator. 16.18 divided by parenthesis tangent 28. Close the 28, close the tangent of 28, enter. 30.43 is what we should get. Okay, so double check yours. Make sure it fits with mine. Okay, finding angle measures. Here's where it's crucial to be in the, well, it's crucial above to be in degree mode. But now we're going to actually solve for the angle. So your answer, if you're in degree mode, you'll get your answer in degrees. Okay, so that's what we want to make sure, especially on your test, so that your answers match up. I'm not going to check to see if you're in radian mode because I'll probably ask for the answer in degrees. So we haven't done anything with radians. So, all right, let's move on. Here's my angle. I don't know what it is, but I know that I have the side opposite and the hypotenuse. Well, opposite and hypotenuse is the sine function. So I'm going to just write it down. Sine of the angle that I don't know equals the side opposite over the hypotenuse. Now, here's how we solve these. Back up to the directions. We know sine, cosine, and tangent ratios. The inverse is raising the sine function to the -1 power of the cosine or the tangent of the -1 power. This is how we find the measure of the angle. So I'm going to write it down over here. So if we know that the sine of the angle, we'll just use theta, equals the ratio, right? We'll say equals the ratio. We know the ratio is opposite over hypotenuse. Now, if we do the inverse sine of the ratio, we're going to get the angle. Okay, so if we know the ratio, we could do the inverse of that ratio, and that's going to equal our angle. So on my calculator, it's just second function sine. Okay, so on yours, it'd be the same. If you have just a regular scientific, it's the, the second function or whatever color yours is. So second sine, and I'm in degree mode, so my answer is going to be in degrees. But the ratio or the fraction is 10 divided by 19. Enter. My angle is 31.7, we'll say 76 degrees. Maybe we'll just round that to a point to the 10th. So 31.8 degrees, we'll say. So we'll say 31.8 degrees. Now it is an angle, so make sure you write the symbol degrees. All right. Next one. Let's see here. Here's the angle we're looking for. We have the side adjacent and we have the side hypotenuse. Okay, hypotenuse. Adjacent, hypotenuse. Note, the hypotenuse is always the one opposite the 90-degree angle, so it's always the longest side, hypotenuse, and then right next to this here is the adjacent side. This over here would be opposite, so we have adjacent and hypotenuse. Well, that's cosine. So we'll say cosine of x equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Kind of doing it the long way here. We're going to use the inverse sign, so I could have just written this to begin with. So the inverse cosine of the fraction or the ratio, 31 over 36, that's going to equal my angle. So on my calculator, second cosine, 31 over 36, or not times, divided by, disaster. So second cosine of the ratio 31 over 36, and I get 30.6 degrees. So 30.6 degrees. You could go to 2 decimal places, but I may have done that on the key, but this is good. Okay, example 3. Here's the angle. The side I have is adjacent to this angle. Always identify the hypotenuse first, so then you know the other two are going to be opposite and adjacent. So from the angle, this would be opposite, and so then this one would be adjacent. So that's tangent, opposite of adjacent. So I'm going to go tangent, or inverse. I'm going to skip a step here. Inverse of the ratio. Ratio is opposite over adjacent, so that's 25 over 78. That's going to equal my angle. So, on my calculator, second tangent, it is 25 over 78, 25 divided by 78. Inverse tangent, 17.8 degrees. Okay, and let's see, this example here, we want to find the measure of angle W, so we're looking for that angle. We know that all three angles, well, that's not how we're going to do this. We're just going to find the angle like we were doing the others. So from this angle, what side do I know? I have the adjacent side. I don't know if I can find the hypotenuse. I probably could find this one here. That would be the hypotenuse of this other triangle over here, which has this angle. So I'm gonna have to solve for this side using the triangle to the right here, and then use that in the triangle to the left to find W. So, all right, let's go. Angle 25 degrees. Opposite is 15. Hypotenuse is what we're looking for. So that is sine. So sine 25 equals side opposite over hypotenuse we'll call x, I guess. Okay, so this one, then we cross multiply. This is like we did up above. So x times the sine of 25 equals 15. So 15 divided by the sine of 25. So that is 15 divided by parenthesis sine of 25, close sine 25. Enter 35.49. I'm not going to round that. So this is 35.49. Okay, so now I can use that to find angle W. Because from angle W, that would be opposite, then 22 would be adjacent now. So that's tangent. So inverse tangent, since I'm solving for the angle, inverse tangent of the ratio opposite 35.49. The more decimals you have, the more accurate you'll be. So if you could use more, that's great. Over 22. So I'm going to go second tangent, and then I'm going to go 35.49 divided by 22. Close that. So I have second tangent 35.49 divided by 22. And I get 58.21. We'll just say 58.2. Since it's an angle, we'll just do degrees. So 58.2 degrees. All right. That's how you solve for angles and sides. And you have, what, 8 questions to do. All right.